Hey, folks, I'm coming to you live from College Station, Texas, where the 62nd Annual Texas Council of Alpha Chapters is holding their state convention. Of course, I pledge here at Texas A&M, Palmacron chapter, and so the grad chapter is of course, leading this effort. And so you've got nearly 600 brothers from around the state who are here earlier today. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, she spoke to the brothers here. Of course, the primary, March 3rd, she's facing State Representative James Tallarico. And so those efforts are taking place. And I actually, as you can see, you see my sticker, I'll step in, you see my sticker right here. I actually voted. I flew into Dallas, voted in Dallas County, then drove down to College Station. I'm going to be, of course, speaking Sunday in Houston. And so it's, of course, I'll be all across this state. It's a busy weekend. And so a little bit later in the show, we're talking to the brother who's tasked with trying to organize and mobilize alphas all across Texas. But beyond that, black voters to make sure that they're casting their vote. In this state, African Americans have the largest number of black voters in any state in the country. In fact, when you look at minority folks in this state, 60% of Texas people of color, yet 60% of the folks that vote in Texas are white. And so that's what's happening here. So we'll talk about that. Now, one of the things that we have been looking at and dealing with is what we have laid out, and that is the targeting of African Americans, the effort by Donald Trump and MAGA to defund black America. And so what they have been doing is attacking colleges and universities, forcing them to make massive changes to a variety of things. Again, I'm here in College Station, my alma mater, Texas A&M University, being led by this right-wing governor in Texas, Greg Abbott, and this nutcase right-wing Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. They have been forcing the Board of Regents to do away with race and gender. University of Texas took some action today saying that they want to keep students from having to take what they call controversial classes. That makes no sense whatsoever. But what we're seeing here, some 45, 50 institutions are being cut. We're talking about places where they have programming that's about reaching out and increasing the number of African Americans, Latinos, Native Americans, Asian Americans in colleges and universities. Well, Donald Trump's anti-black, anti-DEI, anti-minority administration is hitting these folks hard. And so now all of a sudden, these universities are scared to death. So they literally are cutting ties with a variety of organizations. The Washington Post had a story. If y'all have in the control room, pull that story up. The Washington Post had a story laying out these cuts. In California, they literally are cutting ties with a chapter of the Lynx. The Lynx president was quoted as saying, we didn't know anything about this, but the one that also, I saw a tweet before I came live, Clemson is cutting ties with a number of conferences. In fact, I remember I spoke in Clemson. They have actually a conference for men of color. More than likely, that conference goes out the window. So people have to understand what we are seeing is a massive attack by Donald Trump and MAGA against efforts to recruit and retain African Americans. So what have I said they're trying to do by defunding black America? They're trying to cut off access to colleges and universities. They're trying to cut off access to contracts. They're cutting off access to grants and things along those lines. And so there is a wholesale assault on black America taking place as we speak, and folk need to wake up and understand what's going on. Joining me right now on the show, folks, is the president of the PhD project, Alfonso Alexander. Alfonso, glad to have you here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. This is it's devastating. Again, I talk about Texas A&M. That was a conference where they were sending some folks, and the whole goal of the conference is to actually recruit minority PhD candidates. Well, Greg Abbott finds out, he orders the president and says to the president, that president has since resigned, if you do not cancel the travel to this, I'm going to fire you. And so what you have right now, Alfonso, are university administrators who are scared to death because what Donald Trump is doing is saying, I'm going to take away your federal funding, your research grants, if you support any of these programming. And so talk about how these ties being cut, how is it affecting your organization, the PhD project?
Sure. Thank you for having me, Roland. And it's affecting us significantly. We have been a tremendous asset to the academic community by providing access for talented individuals that normally wouldn't necessarily know about how they could get engaged and become PhDs, which then they impact the students that come through, and students of all color benefit from having diverse faculty that they're interacting with. And so what has happened for us specifically is, we had over 200 universities that partnered with us last year prior to the changes that the administration had put in place. And now, it's less than 100 that have partnered with us in that same capacity. Some of them have been forced. Some of them were part of that list of 45 that you referenced earlier, and others because of some of the things and the information that they are having to abide by within their state that's caused some of those issues too. So we're wrapping up, we're working on other ways to be able to still provide access to young people through faculty who have a diverse level of understanding, diverse mix of individuals so that they can still impact our country so that we can be better and continue to grow. But it's been very challenging for us from a financial standpoint. A significant financial hit has come our way as a result of this, and we're working through to fight through so that we can continue to provide opportunities.
So for folks who are unaware, so what exactly was the PhD project doing for these students? Were you funding their travel? What was actually happening?
Sure.
And first of all, for folks who don't know, how long have y'all been around?
Sure. So the PhD project has been around since 1994. And what we have done is been able to create a community that includes individuals that were already PhDs mentoring PhD students. PhD students learning and growing and understanding how to be better researchers, how to be better teachers as a part of the process, and how to create that community so that they have a positive impact on students that come through both undergraduate and graduate level programs in business schools. And what we do is provide a forum for those students to get together with those faculty members. We provide access to resources that can help them. One of the challenges and one of the misconceptions that was out there was that we were giving funding to students that fit certain ethnic groups, but not to others. Well, we don't provide funding. We just provide access to information and partnerships that they can then seek opportunities through those. But the influence of the organization has been great in the 30 plus years that we've been around. And that's been what has been a challenge for those who feel like we're helping people who we have traditionally helped and don't think that's necessary.
So here's the question, that is, as a result of this, is this going to, in your estimation, lead to a drop in the number of minority PhD candidates? Or are y'all working to try to find other ways to keep them involved? Because, and this is the thing that I keep trying to explain to people, that what this is this is literally cutting off access to not higher education, but the upper echelon of higher education. So the trickle-down impact of this is that the affirmative action decision in colleges and universities, well, listen, if you can wipe out black students and other minority students from these Ivy League institutions and then these other institutions, and you start, and it's so bad that we see that Auburn, black alumni, taking their scholarships out. We're seeing scholarship programs being impacted, fellowships being impacted. And what Donald Trump and MAGA is saying is that, this is hurting white students. Yet when you look at the numbers, it's not even remotely close to see how many white students are getting PhDs on an annual basis. That far exceeds the combination of black, Latino, Asian American, Native American.
It is you're absolutely correct. So yes, the numbers will decline, and here's the impact that makes. So there are programs that have been funding research. There are institutions that have been funding research, and research that helps people understand how individuals lead, research that helps people understand how businesses are built in different economies and different markets. And those funds are being cut. And so the research funding is being cut. And so if you have individuals that, let's just say hypothetically, they focused on research where they understood how women leaders lead in comparison to how men leaders lead. Well, now that is deemed as research that could be discriminatory. So the funding could be pulled from that. And then therefore, we now have a gap in learning and understanding how women leaders lead versus how men leaders lead. Now, if you take that and look at from a gender, beyond gender, and look at from an ethnic standpoint, any diversity related programming, many of those things either have already been jeopardized or will be jeopardized by a pullback of funding. And all of that cripples the development of academia. It cripples the opportunities that people develop to understand how to be better. So it attacks the entire system from an education standpoint, and particularly those who don't normally have that access, because now if there's not funding available for them to do research or for them to get scholarships, as you mentioned, minority scholarship programs and other scholarship programs that have been designed to help even the playing field are now being restricted or taken away. And therefore, it just gives the opportunities for those who already have those opportunities to get more, and the ones who have limited opportunities to have less.
Well, and not only that, what they also did is they're trying to change the requirement, if you will, or the classification of people who go to nursing school to say that's not in the medical field. And then what they're also doing, they've capped what folks can get in terms of financial aid for those postgraduate programs. And so the problem is, if you're a black, listen, we know the numbers don't lie. If you're a black student, you're a Latino student, you know, and Native American student, Asian American, you're talking about you don't have access to those dollars. And so now by capping that, folks are like, well, wait a minute. If I don't have the extra $20,000, now I can't get my PhD. And this is what I've been trying to explain to my audience since the inauguration of Trump last year, that what we are seeing, how I frame this, is a massive effort with Project 2025 to defund Black America, that they are attacking multiple institutions, and that is having a profoundly negative impact on our people.
Roland, absolutely. There's an organization that you and I both are affiliated, and part of what we do is try to get to know the best of one another. We, through some scholarship funding, have provided hardship scholarship dollars for universities to distribute to students that are in need. We've had 2 universities to tell us that they can't accept those funds because of who those funds have been traditionally going to. So they can't even help students that are in hardship through funding from us as an organization now. So it doesn't just impact what we see and what's overt in terms of some of these things where you have programs that are going away, but there are students who maybe fell on hard times because they had a car that needed repair and could not afford books or could not afford to pay their bill for the rest of that semester. It impacts the academic system overall.
Well, first of all, you're talking about Sigma Pi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, the Boulay. I ain't got a problem actually saying it. But let me tell you, this is what Tom Joyner did. Let me tell you what Tom Joyner did. When Tom Joyner had the Tom Joyner, and this is what I think our black nonprofits are going to have to do as well. When Tom Joyner's his foundation, he did not send the money to the schools. He sent the money to the students. And I think what's going to happen is, with these organizations are going to say, well, you can no longer have your black alumni scholarship through the Alumni Association. That's where we say, okay, fine. We're going to keep our money. Then we're going to send the word out. If you're a student, if you're an African-American student, you've got a hardship, you let us know, and then we're going to do it that way. Alfonso, what I have been saying all across this country is that this is a moment where African Americans, to be perfectly honest, are going to have to return to how we moved and flowed during Jim Crow, where we are frankly insulating ourselves, where we are pooling our resources. And I'm like, look, He's going to be there 3 more years. The attacks on black people are going to continue. And so what we have to be doing right now is saying, okay, since y'all are putting up these barriers, we're going to find another way to ensure that our black students are going to be funded and taken care of, and they're not going to be fall by the wayside because of this white nationalist agenda that's coming out of the White House.
We have to make sure that we create opportunities for everybody who deserves it, like our people, to be able to have the academic success, the opportunities that they deserve. And you and I both know that you can go to any inner city in the country and see talented young people that just need to be inspired and need an opportunity. And we've got to figure out, to the point that you made, how we work together to be able to create these opportunities and continue to create these opportunities at the lowest level of academia, so K through 12, all the way up to the PhDs. Because if we don't have the PhDs teaching, and that's why I can appreciate many of the panelists that you bring on, they help to bring knowledge in spaces that people aren't able to get them in academia right now. And with all of what you mentioned that's happening in Texas and other places where they're trying to remove certain classes and certain opportunities for people to know and understand how to better integrate or to better live on their own academically, then we have to fill those gaps. And to your point, the way we fill those gaps is we bond together and work together to figure out new ways to be able to create opportunities for success. And that's part of what we're trying to do now with the PhD project. We realize that we have to create new programs that are self-funding. Yep. We have to also call upon the alumni who have come through our programs to help us with funding, to replace the funding that the universities had typically given us as part of the partnerships that they aren't able to do at this point.
Absolutely. Give folks the website if they want to be of assistance to the PhD project.
Sure. It's www.phdproject.org. And we have an area there where you can join what we call the Vanguard Society. And the Vanguard Society is just people that are interested in helping to propel academia through the programs that we offer. Again, that's phdproject.org. The Vanguard Society has a specific page there, and you can join us and really be engaged in supporting us. Even if you're not a person in academia, but you're a person that's interested in yep. educational access for all, that's what we're trying to protect and build and grow upon.
All right then, Alfonso Alexander, I appreciate it, bro. Thanks a lot.
Hey, thank you, and I'm glad that all of that other black and gold left from behind you, because the purple and gold is really what we like the best.
Hey, no, first of all, let's be clear. It's alphas all around here, so you know we outnumber y'all omegas at any time except in prison.
Oh, no, that's not right, man.
See,
things just got better in 1911. They started in 06, but in 11 they got better.
You opened that door.
Thank you for having me.
You opened that door. I was not trying to go there, but I closed that door.
Hey, you got the mic last, so I'm gonna quit while I can.
Yeah, and the only reason I'm not rocking Alpha shirt today, because tomorrow is the 61st anniversary of the assassination of Malcolm X, and his daughter Ilyasa Shabazz sent me this shirt in their partnership with Active Black. That's the only reason you ain't seen me dripping in black and old gold. And don't remember,
hey,
and don't forget, y'all took one of my favorite.
Lanny is one of my favorite people in the world, man. So thanks for supporting him. And you guys have a great convention. And sometimes you got to give some love where it's due.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Let's bring in my panel. Matt Manning, civil rights attorney out of Corpus Christi, Texas. Winkuni Siant, she's the co-founder of Politicking out of D.C. Michael Imhotep hosts African History Network show out of Detroit. Glad to have all three of you here. Winkuni, I want to start with you. Again, I'm trying to explain to people, this is a direct attack on Black America, and people need to stop playing around and wake up to see what is going on by Donald Trump and MAGA. This is a white nationalist administration that does not want to see black folks succeed.
the number one way that you address and dismember a Black community is to start with their educational system, Roland. This is why they wouldn't let Black people read back when we were enslaved peoples. And so now they're doing the similar thing by trying to dismember organizations like the PhD Project, by severing them, by cutting their funding, by making universities scared to partner with them. My question, Roland, would be, why aren't we looking into organizations like Turning Point USA that are all over college campuses throughout this nation? Is it because they're not racially motivated? Is that what's coming down from this administration's pipeline? It's really frustrating to see that organizations like the PhD Project are being unfairly and unjustly targeted simply on the behest of race, when we see organizations like the PhD Project, the Links, the Boule, doing things to uplift the African American community, but not only the African American community. I think what the Links president said was really, really fair in saying is that we know that the Links are doing things nationwide to help people, all different races, all different socioeconomic statuses. And so it's really unfair targeting.
Look, Matt, I mean, I've got some folks who are concerned that they're going to come after Black Greek-led organizations. And here's the deal. Alpha was integrated before the armed services was. I mean, and so but people have to realize that, again, there's a bullseye on the target of Black people and all minorities, and what they want to drive is a white agenda, and that's what this is all about, by trying to cut off access to colleges and universities.
I think you're exactly right. And the two things I'll add to that is, first, colleges, as I've said on this show many times, colleges and universities are supposed to be places where in society we think it is sacred for diverging opinions, diverging positions to be bandied about, to be debated. That's the whole reason you go to college, not only to learn, but to further cement your thought process and some of your own beliefs. So the idea that that's being attacked as an institution, if you will, across the board in the country is really just a really terrible thing for the country, not only from a scholarship standpoint, but from the idea of culturally, we need to have these places where we think it's sacred not only to learn, but to really fight about and grapple with ideas. But the second thing that really sticks me as stupid in this instance is, as the United States of America sees greater competition from China, India, and all these other countries around the world, it just makes sense to do the opposite. It makes sense to get as many people as possible into the highest levels of academia and the highest levels of learning, so that translates to American progress as it relates to science and mathematics and all the other things around the world where we see ourselves losing significant ground. So even if you take this from a nationalist standpoint, being proud of America and wanting America to be advanced, this is directly counter to that idea, because it's instead about the white agenda, as you've mentioned. But to me, it makes no sense if the whole idea is trying to make America as strong as possible.
Yeah, but they don't care, Michael, because they believe that white people are losing opportunities, which we all know is a lie. And so that's why they're targeting Black people and people of color.
Absolutely. And Roland, I was just about to go back to that article from April 1st, 2024 from Axios.com that predicted what would happen. It's called Trump Allies Plot Anti-Racism Protections for White People. And it talks about what would happen in the second Trump administration. And it said allies of Trump want to dramatically change the government's interpretation of civil rights era laws to focus on anti-white racism rather than discrimination against people of color. And when you read the information coming from the Department of Justice, their rationale, in Associated Press has an article on this. The Department of Education cites Title VI of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which bars discrimination on the basis of color, race, or national origin. So Linda McMahon is saying that the PhD project is in violation of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. At the same time, when Donald Trump at the inauguration, January 20th, 2025, said they want to fulfill Dr. King's legacy, fulfill his dream. Remember that? Okay. And now they're destroying everything that Dr. King and Hosea Williams and Jesse Jackson and others fought for. So this is what we were warning Black people about. Now, my question is, where are all the Black people who say do for self? Where are your programs to help offset this?
Yeah, well, first of all, they're using those very civil rights laws against us. I think when Kuhn is right, we need to be going after those folks, suing them as well. We need to understand what their entire game plan is. Folks hold